So we got Adriana from Cypherglass on, and you guys just wish that you'd had the conversation that we had. That's why we're late. We were talking up a storm, and we can't even tell you anything about it. So there you go. I've interviewed Adriana before. I am a huge fan. The dogs are apparently coming running in here now, so that's good. That's Rhodey.
Hi, Rhodey.
Yeah, he needed to be in on this. Anyway, so how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here today. It's a nice cold morning here in Seattle. We've had a bunch of snow, so I've got my coffee and I'm ready to chit chat.
Awesome sauce.
We're super happy to have you. I'm kind of, it's late for me, but I like it because, I had a nap and I'm good to roll.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've talked to you. It's been a couple of years on a Boydcast, but yeah, it's super good. And so my wife said to me, why are you working so late tonight? And I had to introduce you. And I thought, what's the best way to introduce her is like why I'm so excited to talk to her is because of a tweet that I read on her thread about 2 months ago when you got contacted by your ex-boyfriend asking if you're still doing that Bitcoin thing. And I thought, this sums everything up. And that was like my favorite tweet thread of all time because the people in the comments were awesome. They're like, yeah, shill them on Ripple. And I loved it.
That tweet did go viral. It's funny because I'll write these nice, long, well thought out tweets and threads and stuff, but my most degen tweets go viral. And that's a great example of one of them. Even Pomp commented on it and was like, we kind of had a little spat on there. And it was pretty funny because, I think in crypto Twitter, you're always hearing about, my ex-girlfriend contacted me now that Bitcoin's going up. But it happens on the side of the fence too.
I like it. I think that's one of the most interesting things about you actually is your online presence. And you I like following you. If you're not following Adriana, please do because she's got some awesome, well thought out tweets, but she's also got some really cool tweets. Like your tweet this morning was something along the lines of building people up instead of tearing people down, and that's what we're all here for. And I think recently in the EOSI community, people are starting to feel a little bit more positive. So it's a perfect time for us to have a positive person like you on. So yeah,
drive that into the culture too, right? Yeah, I'll share this, but actively. I mean, you're showing leadership at the end of the day, right? This is how we're going to run things. And I think it's a really positive example, and I think people will follow it. I think it's a thing that will absolutely sort of percolate out into the world in a good way. So, This is the Uplift. You haven't been here yet. We're building out basically a Decentraland or CryptoVoxels metaverse, but for EOSIO communities for the most part. There's some other people coming in, but one thing we do is every call now that we do, we ask our guest what they're grateful for, and it could be a big thing, it could be a small thing, doesn't matter. We throw that up on the wall, and these live in perpetuity. I could say words. Anyway, so what are you grateful for this morning?
I am very, very grateful for my Cypherglass team. There's not a day I don't wake up and think that. Very grateful for my Cypherglass team. They are family and the most supportive people in my life. And it extends so much further than just blockchain and crypto and EOS and running nodes. These are people that I get to lean on every day in my regular life and really wouldn't experience the success that I'm experiencing without them.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Love those guys. They're awesome.
Yeah. I just love getting kind of a record. People are slowly starting to trickle into the world as we get things built out. And we're going to be doing our alpha sale probably in about 3 weeks.
This is so cool.
Yeah. So this is the thing. You guys have land here. I saved it for you. It's in the community cluster. So, we need to get you in here and get building. So, I don't know if you've seen some of the pictures that are coming out like Boyd and like people are building shit that's just I had no expectations at all.
We're gonna go check some of those out right now, right?
Oh yeah, you want to go to block? Yeah, we want to go.
Let's go. While we talk, let's go check out the new block-based one, and you can see the Boyd one too. So
yeah, I'll start at Boyd and then we'll fly out there.
Well, Corey does that. Sorry, go ahead, Adriana.
We were talking about possibly trying to code in like a Cleos terminal in there somewhere.
Yes.
Like trying to put a Cleos terminal in there somewhere just to be cool. Like trying to figure out how to get that in there. We were in I don't remember what TG channel I was in, but we were talking about that because someone was like, I wonder if we could get a functioning calculator in there. And I was like, yeah, if you can do that, you can get a Cleos terminal in there. And that
they have working computers.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like a calculator should be relatively easy. Man, a working. So one of the things, and this is sort of, and we're working on it now because we saw a plugin, but they haven't updated it, is you can get working browser windows. Right.
Oh, wow. So yeah, you can totally get a terminal in there.
Right. We can't do that yet because we have to basically rebuild the plugin, but it's a thing that we know is possible to do because somebody did it. And this is where you have NFT galleries, you have YouTube videos that are constantly playing. You're gonna be able to put that up in your land. Like we're talking about building an amphitheater, and I'll do like a live music show, but in the amphitheater, right? Or like you do parties where you have the party cam into an actual space or whatever. So yeah, like things are gonna get really, really interesting. But
there's going to be a cow gate to get out of the cathedral where everyone spawns that you have to at least watch one episode of Corey and Jimmy D before you can get out. Just our SEO YouTube ratings. That's not happening.
That's great. You're gonna force everyone to you have to have an account. There's all kinds of things in here. That's awesome. These are the kinds of community projects I really think we need. These are the ones that build culture, that we get to interact with each other. And especially during COVID, when everyone's locked up, these virtual worlds have been so valuable. And I think that's why there's so much progress in this one over the last years. We've all been cooped up inside, just building stuff on our computers.
Right. Man, this whole building wasn't there before. What are you guys doing? Every day, Adriana, it's different every single day.
These guys are building the city of the future, essentially.
Hell.
Who do you guys know who some of the top builders are? Who are the people spending the most?
Boyd team this is the Boyd team. They're going nuts.
Yeah, between the Boyd team and probably Crypto Monkeys are doing the most right now. But again, we're still in the process of getting teams like yours in, and Greg's actually in the thing here. Greg is basically taking people for tours of their plots and kind of giving them basic Minecraft skills. But point your phone at that.
Okay, so wait. While I'm doing that, tell people how we access. How do you access this?
So we're in pre-launch. So the only people that are getting access right now are the communities that are, getting into the cluster, and so that would be, you and a couple people that, and most people are kind of putting the word out, who builds in Minecraft or whatever, so you can kind of bring some talent in. That's what Boyd did. Gary is the guy building all these freaking buildings. He's freaking everybody out with how awesome it is.
That is sick. I'm sorry.
Right?
Whatever that tower is over there, that's insane. And
that's actually a spaceship, and that's the spaceship that's going to be featured in the up and coming Void game in a collaboration with Blockbase. And they built that out, I think, in 2 or 3 days. And Corey said they keep just adding stuff to it as well.
Are they building this on a network? Which network? Where are they building this? You never really know anymore.
Yeah, so I think they're actually building it on the game part of it. If I'm not mistaken, it's going to be on Wax, but don't quote me on that because I really have no idea.
I can answer that question. So the Void game is going to be running on the EOS mainnet, but there's going to be some parts of it that are going to be crossing over to Telos as well. But for the most part, it's going to be a mirroring what's happening on the EOS mainnet. I think they're just using Telos for a couple of the backend things at present. So yeah, and I mean, Boyd's quite focused, especially John, on IBC. It has been for a long time. I mean, since we first met, John actually from Boss Core Network as well. They've been doing a lot of this
John
stuff.
Chamberlain is one of my close friends, personal friends. I spent time with him in Bangkok, and I love him. He's amazing.
Yeah. I've only met him on the podcast, but he does seem quite amazing. And what he's doing for the space. So yeah, so basically the game will be it's going to be basically like a community kind of game, and I guess to say it's built on the mainnet is a little bit misleading, because actually they're working in close partnership with. I'm supposed to have a script for this, so if I screw it up, but they're working in close partnership with Blockbase and the Blockbase team to be able to develop this game. So their community clusters in this Minecraft world are actually side by side, and I think they're working kind of together and building things out as well. So
yeah, I'm headed out there. We're this is like a strip of land that's going to be for sale. So that's interesting. In between the two clusterings, so I'm sort of meandering because like flying through these valleys is really fun. But we're I'm just looking on the map here. We should be coming up to the block-based installation pretty soon, and we're here. Like this is, yep.
It's crazy because it just starts unfolding as you go, so you think it's the end, and it's not.
It's never the end.
What Christopher Columbus felt like for like hours and hours on end as he stared at the end of the world.
How Elon Musk feels every day.
Right?
Oh, nice reference. I like it. Okay, that's how that works. I've seen the photos.
That is so cool.
So they're in a glass box, essentially.
Yep.
So this is real metaverse stuff. This is like real metaverse shit going on in this. This is amazing. Because like you think about all like the advertising and gaming and NFT possibilities inside of these metaverses, they're endless. And
yes.
Like when you talk about IBC and these things being able to like interact and cross permissionless networks, that's really neat. And might I add, feeless. You know, you're talking about these metaverses that are evolving and picking up on where the other ones have really misstepped. And this is one of those cases where we've managed to improve on existing models. And like you can come build stuff in here and it won't cost a ton in gas.
Right. Well, that's, you know, when we first wanted to, like, I knew we could do rewards from a Minecraft server, right? It's got public, server log, just point an API at it. You should be able to make it work, right?
Yeah. And yeah, I'm sorry for anyone watching that doesn't know what IBC is, because we're just talking like a bunch of loonies. IBC is it's basically what connects the blockchains and makes them interoperable. And an EOSIO is built for interoperability that way. So Telos, EOS, Wax, all of these things, they talk to each other super easy and feeless. So
if you've ever read anything about Polkadot, like then EOSIO is like 10 years before Polkadot, probably. Like that's, but for some reason they really hate us over there.
Culture. Community culture thing. Like we're not in network with Ethereum, so we're not cashing in on any of those transactions. We also don't have like the same funding opportunities right now. EOS is just slower right now. It's just a slower growing community, but I find that the EOS community, the people that are still in it building, they're like cream of the crop. They're those developers and smart contract devs and those people that are putting their brain power into this stuff. They're cream of the crop people. And I have no doubt that EOS will continue to rise as a permissionless network.
Yeah, I kind of tend to agree with you. Like EOSIO, people who are developing on EOSIO, they're kind of like teachers that like are teaching in like really bad situations just because they believe in learning.
They're like public school teachers.
No, but what what they're building, like you said, what they're building is amazing, and it's flying under the radar. And I think Corey and I were, well, me more so than him maybe on this, but we're a little bit harsh on some aspects of it, but like for me, as harsh as I can be on block one or some of these other things that I get annoyed about, what annoys me more are people who like are angry that block one bought a bunch of Bitcoin. Like Michael Saylor's a genius because he bought a bunch of Bitcoin, right? Like every company is like a genius because they bought a bunch of Bitcoin. You know, when there was a great analogy I heard today, when like a country like Argentina buys like US dollars, like that's smart. Like everyone's all for it. But when like, you know, block one, who's developing the EOSIO code, buys Bitcoin, then it's like, oh, you're not even like, no, you traders. And it's kind of like I get upset because people really need to own their own investments, right?
Right.
And they need to own their own time and they need to own their own developments. And if you're just here to make a quick buck, then probably you shouldn't be in EOSIO because, you know, if you're here to make a quick buck, you should come in my opinion, with $100 or $200 or $500,000. You should front run everyone in Ethereum DeFi so that you can take advantage of the little guy, right? I mean, you should like.
I've been doing this for 3 years now. You know, EOS has been my life for 3 years. I wake up every day, check my votes, check the price, check our accounts, just make our nodes secure, check everything for 3 years straight. And you know, I took for granted what I was learning in that process and thought that many other people in the crypto community really saw it the same way. And, you know, now that I'm doing these clubhouses and these fireside chats with Bitcoin maxis, ETH maxis, all these other, you know, tribal people, developers, it's occurring to me that like no one network really has it completely figured out and they all have problems. And you really have to pick a project and stick to it and be committed to see it through, or you're just wasting your time. It's like an investment with your time. So if you're developing something and you know, you're talking crap about that network, you're just hurting yourself. Like you're just doing damage to yourself. And I get it. Everybody wants to hold ICO holders accountable for their actions. Everybody wants to see accountability and action. But I am seeing that, and I'm not dissatisfied at this point. I'm seeing a company that's growing from, you know, 100 people to 200 people, growing their engineering department, growing their presence in an enterprise world, growing their presence in the community. So far, I am disappointed with maybe the how we went about things, but I still see progress. And that, at the end of the day, was the most important part for me. These maxis don't really understand that the internet's going to benefit from all these permissionless networks in a way that decentralized data, information, resources, and that's not a world we currently live in. So anybody shit talking altcoins really needs to understand like the value of smart contracts that are going to run, you know, a lot of things in the future, or Web3 and the way it lays out how that's going to support Bitcoin being used and being transacted. So we're really all in this together. And I've never understood that tribal aspect personally.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead, Corey.
No, I just wanted to agree. I mean, that, you know, I mean, any kind of maximalist. Like Bitcoin maximalism is hilarious to me. I'm a huge fan of Bitcoin, but to suggest that Bitcoin's the best we're ever going to have is ludicrous, right? Like the better version of Bitcoin already exists. You can argue about which one it is, but you know, I think it's you know, impossible to think otherwise. And Ethereum maximalists, I mean, just shut up. Like $70 gas fees. You don't get to talk anymore in public because your chain's useless. It's literally useless.
And
unless you're a DeFi whale and you like taking money from poor people because they're locked in accounts that they can't get out of.
Well, and I've thought a lot about this. Like when thinking about the resource models between these two chains, these two networks, yes, EOS is arguably better for currency, right? It's feeless, it's instant, it's arguably better. However, that being said, there is something to these transaction and gas fees that Ethereum has really honed in on. And I think it can be best described as skin in the game. you know, when you're in DeFi and you're making these bets, those people that are going into those crazy pools, they're paying $600-700 to get into those pools. And I think that there's accountability that comes from that. There's this scarcity over the gas resource that happens. It keeps people locked into that network, and that's a good business model for some products, for some decentralized products. So I'm not going to argue that ETH is useless or that it's pointless. I actually think Ethereum serves a lot of purpose. I think it's the beginning of Web3. I think EOSIO and the EOS community needs to figure out what the business models that would do better on our resource model are, and figure out how to create value around the resources on EOS. Because as of right now, we've got major problems in our CPU department and the way our resources are structured for people to build on it. Now, those problems will be fixed, but we're really in reality, EOS and Ethereum are burning the problems of permissionless networks at the candle at both ends. They're solving problems that the other can't solve. They're really working together. And anyone who doesn't think that and doesn't understand that is really missing the point of decentralization, smart contracts, permissionless networks, Web3. It's just going over their head.
I am
but
now
EOS
smarter.
isn't decentralized because Dan is here, and now Dan left, and Dan should come back because we have no leader.
Oh.
Oh no! If anything, it makes us more decentralized. We don't have a figurehead now, right? Like Block One's not really doing much for the community directly. They're trying to create opportunity on the chain. I think that's fair, but they're not doing community work, right? And that's fine, but we're the community. I as a block producer, as a CEO of Cypherglass, I'm the community. I helped start this network. I set up a node. I run that on my own volition. It's my responsibility to turn the opportunity into something, not to wait for Block One or Dan or Vitalik or anyone to do it.
Yeah, and I'm a fan. I mean, I'm maybe in the minority here, but I wish Block One was a little bit more transparent with what they're doing, but I kind of understand why they're not, number one. But number two, I kind of feel like I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with them just developing the code. I know it sucks. I know a lot of people are upset that, you know, they didn't see the return on their investment yet, but I will add that to yet, right? And I mean, I think that's a really, you made a comment that kind of rang. Sorry, it's really late here. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. So you kind of like rang a thread in my head, and I guess that's kind of what, like, EOS in a way, like, the problem is it in some ways, no offense to you or any of the other hardworking block producers that are out there, but in some ways it kind of seems like a rudderless ship. And I think the reason that it seems like a rudderless ship isn't because of all the hardworking block producers that are working on, you know, doing things like whether it be IBC, which is actually a question that I want to ask you, because I ask all block producers this, but like I see different block producers focusing on different things. Like if we look at like when we had Aaron Cox from Grey Mass on, like it's very clear that they're kind of focusing on, basically builds for people to use, right? And we found out later that they're actually, you know, working really hard on history nodes and things like that as well, right? Like if we look at a block producer like Jen or EOS, I mean, they're very community oriented. They're very community focused, right? We look at, we had Michael from EOS USA. I mean, he's all over the map in terms of like all these different blockchains that he's supporting and he's working towards, right? Mm-hmm. But I wanted to ask, like, in your opinion, like what is, because each block producer seems to like focus on different things, right? Mm-hmm. And I kind of wanted to know, like, what is the focus of, I know, but I want you to answer it because I might be wrong. What is the focus of Cypherglass, and what do you guys trying to bring to the ecosystem of EOS or EOSIO? You can answer that in any way you want.
Definitely. So I want to start this answer with explaining why I think BPs are better than miners even. Like, in Ethereum, you've got miners who are your witnesses, your witness nodes, and they're charging you a bunch of fees, and they're not really doing a whole lot for the network, right? Like, they're not actively contributing to the network in any real meaningful way. The developers are completely different. Sometimes those two intersect, but in reality, miners are people with a shit ton of Ethereum and, who have been there in the system for a long time. EOS is a little bit different in that it's got a democratic approach to it. When we're electing, the witnesses, we kind of have to campaign to the token holders as to why we deserve to be a witness or even paid as a standby. And over the last 3 years, everybody's kind of cut their part of the cloth. People have taken interest and formed their own departments or their own agendas and what they think the network really needs, because we are all responsible to that algorithm, to EOS. That's what pays me. There's no person. There's no one cutting a check. It's an algorithm. So when I think about that algorithm and what's best for it, I think about my decentralized values, my principles, my morals, and that's every team. That's how every team approaches the blockchain. And at Cypherglass, our mission has always been to build a more decentralized world through applications or through business development and B2B solutions. And that's really what we focus in on. Ross and James, who are the other two managing partners of Cypherglass, are very experienced in the cloud, data center, and blockchain infrastructure area. They have both been a part of major, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies, even in building out their infrastructure and cloud departments. And I think they bring a lot of that knowledge to EOS. And we've been a part of helping other teams design projects and making sure they stay online. And everybody knows they can always come knock on our door if they need help with that. And I think that when you're in a dev-heavy environment, that extra sysadmin help really, really goes the extra mile. It really helps take things that extra mile. And that's really where we come in strong on our technical side. Myself, I do not come from a technical background. I have learned EOSIO very intimately, and I think I can explain it. I understand smart contracts pretty well. I can set up my own node. I can manage them. But didn't come from a technical background. And I think what I bring to the table in terms of value is being able to clearly explain the technology to people who are not technical and who want to understand and want to jump the mental hurdles of what is this really doing? How does it really work? But I'm not an engineer. I'm not going to sit here and learn C++. Can you just break it down for me? And I think that's important when you're investing in stuff, when you're doing your own research. You need that kind of content and you need that person to lean on. And that's what we try to bring to the table.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat, and that's like with all the different things. Sorry, Corey, I'm gonna cut you off here, but I like very, very similar. So before we get too far into this, I do actually have to say, Seth is in the comments and he corrected me. I told you I needed a cheat sheet, and he did correct me. So just to go over this, I do want to clarify that the Void game data will be stored on Blockbase. The main game contracts will be on Telos and a few bits on EOS and Wax. Sorry about that. I did mess that up. But I don't have a cheat sheet, and I should, because if they want me to talk about it, then they got to give me that cheat sheet. Anyway,
I think it's worth highlighting, by the way, I now with that information, I think it's worth highlighting to anybody watching that is a developer, how amazing that really is. This application is going to be laying over 3 permissionless networks easily and providing a UI UX experience for the end user that's feeless, fast, and super easy account ID access. EOSIO is built for managing accounts and messaging. So if there's any developers watching, you guys should really take a look at the software.
I mean, I think you're one of my favorite examples of the proof of why having block producers is infinitely more valuable than having miners. Right? Because miners can get together and they can fund stuff and whatever when they do, right? When they're not just like, thank you for all of the Ethereum, I'm going to buy another Lamborghini.
Exactly.
It just seems like it makes a lot more sense. This is Crypto Monkey's land, by the way, and this don't tell Boyd, don't tell Seth at all. This is still my favorite. It's so adorable. It's just so good.
That's awesome.
Oh, and see, like I think, and they got the little monument sign down there. Like they could package this area, they could region this area out and sell it as an NFT and make bank. That's gonna be fun.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting when it opens up and you can see
Right.
all that stuff. The one that Corey paused on, I think he wanted to tell you about as well. The one that you paused on for quite a long time while we were talking.
The pyramid. Oh, we went by Anders'. Yeah, we went by Anders' pyramid because he built it in survival, and Greg really wanted me to point that out. And then we went by, the Blue Wizard, who's been buying up everything in the Wax ecosystem. We might have built him a little castle.
I know who that is.
Oh, you know who it is for real?
Mm-hmm.
You know who the Blue Wizard is?
Mm-hmm.
It's not you.
Hey.
Are you the Blue Wizard?
I'm not the Blue Wizard, but I know who the Blue Wizard is.
Wow, that's.
I don't even think the Blue Wizard knows that I know who he is, though. That's funny.
How did you deduce this? And will you tell us who it is?
I'll never tell that.
Damn it! I mean, I knew you wouldn't, but like, if you wanted to, though, like, we could end the show right now, and you can just be like, wait, touch.
People are always like, "Oh, blockchain is so pseudo-anonymous, and like you can really protect your privacy." The truth of the matter is when you really know what you're looking at a blockchain, it's easy to deduce identities just based off of like extra permissions, transactions, messages. Like it's very easy to dox people in like in any blockchain environment. Like I can dig very deep into account history, very deep into permissions, very deep into like who created the accounts, what other accounts they created, like it's not hard if you're a sleuth.
Awesome.
I can't believe you just I can't believe you just threw one under the belt. That's great.
That's
like not
appropriate.
the Blue Wizard to us. Like you can't just come on a show like us and like this and say like I know who the Blue Wizard is.
I mean, yeah, I would.
I just told you how to find. I'm sorry, but like when I saw NFTs coming out, which by the way, I saw NFTs as like this pop 2 years ago, and this is still when Rob was part of Cypherglass. We went to South by Southwest to go physically collect the Blancos cards because we were obsessed with the idea and we knew this was going to take off. So we got I was in Colorado sitting in a like crazy winter storm, and we're on a phone call, and he's just like, should we go? Should we just go? And I'm like, yeah, fuck it. I mean, we get on a plane the day before. I got there at like midnight the night before. It was crazy, but we got the actual physical packs of the Blancos cards, and we both have like full sets. I think Rob has the gold card too.
So I'm not even sure if I know this story. Who is Rob?
Wait,
I think I know who Rob is, but I didn't realize that. I know your connection to Rob, I think, from previous engagements, but I didn't realize that Rob was part of Cypherglass. So just to clarify, is that the Rob that I think?
Rob Finch?
Oh, not that Rob.
Oh, yeah. He's not in the ecosystem anymore. He's kind of, doing his own thing underground. Still great friends, but he used to be the CEO of Cypherglass. And then I took over last year.
I did know that actually because I saw that on Everything EOS. And when you left, I didn't realize that. Sorry,
yeah, you're good. No, it's really, there's a lot of Robs in EOS.
It's like a decade that's like transpired in the last year, really. Like all of this crazy stuff has happened. Do you remember when like EOS New York used to be a block producer? Do you remember like when the go-to EOSIO like place to watch videos used to be EOS Radio? Now it's us, by the way, just in case you were wondering.
Yeah, I mean, there was magic. I tell people this all the time. Like there is literal magic in the air in 2018 when we were launching this network, and it has been magical. And we're in a lull. We're not at our best right now. And I think it's important that everyone hears that the reason block producers aren't doing more, and this is honest, like I don't know how to put it any more honest. The reason we're not doing more, building more, out in front of you more, is because the price of EOS was just too low. It's already, it's already cost burdensome for us to run the overhead and participating in the network, but then to spend the time and the attention and then trying to hire more devs and get them interested. We took the year to build our bank. And one of the things I'm very proud of at Cypherglass and why you should vote for us is because we hold our EOS. We build our bank. We believe in the project. And we're not really going anywhere. We're going to keep saving that EOS up because we think this network has the best chance at fixing itself.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like looking at the price dynamics, there's still really, really awesome projects going on in mainnet. There's a really good argument that there's going to be, more in the future than there are right now. And that's going to get reflected in a price. So if you're constantly banking stuff and, EOS goes to frickin' $20, well, suddenly you guys have resources to do all sorts of stuff. And, if you're doing outlay when it's 250, you're basically you're shooting everyone in the foot because it's just,
Exactly.
waiting for that better price discovery is a smart thing to do. See, as another example, probably Block One. I mean, it's entirely plausible they're doing the same thing with Bitcoin. It's like, do you spend Bitcoin when it's 50,000 or when it's 500,000?
And even not even that. Like, let's take a second to appreciate that Block One employs over 300 people. They are building actively. They are trying. They are maintaining. I think that if Block One is playing a long game, they're doing it very strategically. And not to mention, EOS is the only permissionless network other than Bitcoin that the OCC and the SEC have deemed approved for banking transactions in the US. So and this is what's next for the US, payment processors are about to go to war with each other because ACH is too slow. You know how it takes you like 3 to 5 days to get your deposit in or to send money to someone? That's an 18th century economy. We're getting ready to move to a 21st century economy with blockchain and public blockchain specifically. ACH payments are really going to be a thing of the past. And now these payment processors are about to start going to war over what network is going to be theirs. What network is Visa going to build or use? What network is MasterCard going to build or use? Like, nobody's really thinking about this in terms of traditional financial transactions. And EOS really stands out to me when it comes to instant feeless transactions. And we're seeing a lot of talk about wrapped Bitcoin. We're seeing a lot of talk about, wrapped products that could potentially, really, really change the game in Bitcoin. What was that, Jimmy?
Well, not quite. Okay, I agree with you until today or last week or sometime in the meantime. But yeah, like not quite. I mean, we need to change the narrative a little bit now because we're not actually feeless anymore with the new power up model kind of thing, right?
True.
But I do like it's just crazy that people are, Corey, I can't count the number of times last week. We had 5 shows and there were 13 shows on the channel last week. And I'm pretty sure Corey said 10 times, I can't believe that you're paying like $30 for a transaction.
Oh
man, if you're paying $30 for a transaction, you're lucky because it's not 70.
They're over $100 right now if you're lucky. But that's back to that whole skin in the game thing. I don't think they're crazy because they're paying $100 to make 10K and they're sure. So it's like a barrier to entry. And to be honest with you, yeah, they're having scaling problems. Mark my words, you guys, ETH is going to figure it out. And they host so much money, so much value on that network. It's so liquid. It's not going anywhere. And people don't care about the transaction fees. They're going to pay them to gamble. EOS, while yes, we're not feeless anymore, the thing is do you really think that developers are going to build their products and make their users pay for the transactions in their products when they're that cheap?
Well, this is what I've been saying like for quite some time on the show, and Corey's probably getting sick of it, but Ethereum is great. They did a good thing with smart contracts. I mean, but the problem is that why a lot of us are here is because we want a better, fairer world. And I mean, Ethereum essentially right now is banking 2.0 on the blockchain. That's all it is. You got to be a big money player to be able to, make money out of DeFi, and Corey said it earlier, a lot better than I can say it, but I'm going to repeat it again. You have all of these whales that are basically shitting on the little guys and taking their money, right? And it annoys me. It bothers me, right?
It should. Because, I mean, and this is where I love this debate. This debate has to be my favorite in crypto. It's right here. And I find that this is right where that Bitcoin maxi line comes in, where you're talking about, okay, what are free market principles versus raised awareness and conscious and doing the right thing because we're all here to make a more free world? Do you believe that, okay, this is a free market, it's the Wild West, anybody should be able to gamble, and if these whales are taking advantage of a situation, good for them, that's eat or be eaten? Right. Or do you say, wait a fucking second here, we need to figure out how to stop people from taking advantage with plutocratic measures? I don't know yet. I don't know.
Can I add a third option? Because this is what I'd like to see. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but what I'd like to see is like people that actually start to build a better world based on a model of change that benefits everyone. I mean, as a permaculturist, that's not happening. And here's the problem. Here's the issue, right? Like the issue is that everyone is looking out for themselves, right? Like, and so I like where you came from that debate, because you have, okay, I'm going to out myself here. Like, I apologize if I offend anyone, right? But I don't believe that that COVID was some like massive conspiracy theory to be able to take people's rights away. Okay, if you're in America and you believe that COVID was a thing to take people's rights away, I do apologize, but I think that you're absolutely nuts. You have the biggest military in the world. They could walk in and take your rights away anytime they want. I'm not even sure if Corey agrees with this, but this is my personal opinion.
Everything you just stated is fact, not opinion.
Right. So when I look at this, I think like the bankers, the people who are in charge of America right now, they're just looking at the situation. They're looking at the opportunity, and they're being opportunistic. They are doing what they all have always done, and they're using this situation to their advantage. This is why they are where they are. This is why they do what they do, right? And I think, like you said, seems to be what happens in Ethereum for me. That's what I see.
I completely agree, and I am a very moderate person, and I have learned many times now not to share my opinions about these highly polarizing topics because I get eaten alive and I'm sick of it. But more recently, I've decided, fuck that. Like I haven't speak my truth. I've earned my place to do that, and I don't really have a problem changing my mind if I'm presented with new evidence that does that. But so far from what I can see in America, and I came back to the US right as COVID hit. Like, I was living in Southeast Asia, traveling for the better part of 2 years, not really immersed in American culture. And when I came back and COVID hit, it was almost a culture shock for me, because I saw what people, non-Americans, were talking about when they said entitled, privileged, overconsuming. Like, I kind of started to see it from this different lens. And while I'm so grateful for my privileged life that I get just because I won the geographical lottery for being here, I am really disappointed in my fellow Americans for not feeling responsible to want to push the envelope for other people who aren't American and extend those privileges and freedoms to people that don't fall inside of those geographic lottery lines. And that's the disappointment I'm having in my own country right now, is that everyone here is so me, I. But that didn't happen in a vacuum either. We created this when we started to hand over our attention and our freedom to large corporations that were selling us shit we didn't need and giving those profits to China. I mean, we've ended up in this situation at our own accord. Every American is responsible for how we got here, and every American is going to be responsible for how we get out. And for me, that's why I throw myself into this, because Cypherglass and EOS and blockchain and trying to figure out a better way to govern the world is how I feel like I'm laying my brick in the path of revolution.
Show fucking over. I mean, that's like, and we've had, not really, we've had, but like take the box of mics and drop them.
I'm not doing the thing now, man. I got
no. I'm totally kidding. But I see that with what you guys are doing with Cypherglass. Like it's visceral and it's real for, like looking into the different plausible possible governance models. It really does this, it's the long game for how we start iterating new types of governance models in the world. And the fact that, you're thinking about it in that terms, laying the brick of revolution, like the people complaining online, just a rich, hearty, go fuck yourself, because it's not going to do anything. Right? You find like we're already iterating different governance models in the uplift because we can, and because we kind of have to. We're all fucking city managers now, which is super weird.
And you know what? For every one of them that doesn't work, we figure out something that does, you guys. So
100%.
All of these chains that you guys are bitching about, all these shit coins, all these scams, every single one of them is paving a path to a better governance system, because we're learning what doesn't work, what isn't safe, what isn't good. Every one of those scams is teaching us something. So what you guys don't understand out there that talk so much shit about altcoins is that that's the immune system to Web3. That's the immune system to new decentralized governance systems. It's teaching us what doesn't work. It's teaching us how to be better. And so Bitcoin maxis, especially, you guys need to thank those shitcoin developers, because all those smart contracts they're writing is what going to be that decentralized world that you want to live in. That's going to govern it. So for all that shit you're talking, you're just fighting what's good for you.
So I got three things. First of all, bonds. Careful, because I'll just have Sean back on the show.
Adriana, did you see that? Oh God, that was.
Seriously,
I want to give Bonds a hug right now. That was so brutal.
100% right, Bond. Sorry, time goes by really, really weirdly in this space, and I get lost. So I do know Rob Finch. I used to follow him. I just totally blanked, right? It's like driving in winter in Ontario. I mean, you can't see beyond your windshield. Number two, I didn't realize that you had actually lived in Asia, and I kind of wanted to ask you this because I'm kind of like the only one that like lives in Asia, really, that I know that like is deeply involved in the EOS space. But before I do that, I also want to just comment on your last point. I think the benefit to me with EOS is that you have this technology that is almost borderless, and I think borderless in EOSIO means like something a little bit different, but it means essentially the same thing as it does in like our global community, right? You have all of these projects, all of these people who are taking the code and they're refining it, they're tailoring it toward their own custom needs. And when I look at something like Wax, or when I look at something like what Ultra is building, or even, early in the days when Telos decided that governance model wasn't for them, right? Or BossCore, they, are looking at IBC, but more so Wax and Ultra these days. There's no possible way that people are going to walk into a bank in order to register to play a video game. And this is kind of what cryptocurrency is, in my opinion, got kind of wrong, right? It's like this one shop fits all solution. So going way, way back to what you said about the maximalism and stuff, like it's just absolutely ridiculous, right? And it's kind of bag holders that, like, I bought this, I should make money. Okay, yeah, you should maybe make money, but that's not necessarily what the most important thing is. The most important thing is making a good experience for gamers, making a good experience for collectors, making a good experience for
everyone.
Everyone. And you can't do that with just one blockchain. You're never going to be able to do it, right? And so I do respect, what you said about that. But the question that I wanted to ask you, I know I love having you on here because you talk more than me, and it's great. But the question I wanted to ask you, you said you spent a lot of time in Asia, and so that's kind of where I am. well, that's where I am mostly. I mean, I'm not really here because I spend night times with Corey, who's in North America. So I'm kind of half North American, half.
I remember that life.
But so it's interesting because I'm involved with like a few block producers over here as well. You know, on a fairly, you know, I don't work for them necessarily, but you know, I have contact and communication with them. And in Asia, the ideas of democracy and freedom are quite different.
Mm-hmm.
And you lived here, right? And there's always been this kind of dynamic about EOS is like, EOS is dominated by Asian block producers, right? Like there's the Asian cartel. I mean, and we need to be like decentralized. And when I look at it, like,
was it Bitcoin saying that? Because that's always my favorite. When people who don't know who's mining Bitcoin have opinions about basically anything.
Oh Lord, I love it because I'm like, wait a second here. You want to knock the system that holds the miners accountable while you're using a system that's manipulated by the very people you praise. Like I can't, I don't want to think about it because if people, and this is why understanding how nodes work, understanding the different kinds of nodes in a decentralized permissionless network are so important because you need to understand not every node is the same, not, you know, witness nodes are different, what they really do and who's really controlling them. It would shock you to learn what the differences are even between Bitcoin, Ethereum, EOS, and who's really accountable. And they're all decentralized in different ways, but they come with a sharp edge of centralization in some point, in some way. And you just have to accept that. EOS has centralization in a way that is laid out in front of you. It's very transparent. It's very right there. And it's easier in my opinion. You know, if you don't like the way we run the network, don't hold the token is kind of the approach I've always taken to it. But don't be surprised when a lot of the applications in the future for decentralized finance end up on an EOSIO token and you have to use EOS to transition in. Or don't be surprised when you decide, oh, I'd rather use a decentralized wrapped Bitcoin than the one that Fidelity's minting. Like, these are the thoughts people are not thinking about. Like, would you rather, okay, well, I want to own Bitcoin. I don't want to pay ridiculous fees to use it or hold it. I want to use a decentralized wrapped asset, or do I want to use one that's centralized by an existing financial institution?
All of that's fine. And I like it. But I think Asia is more in tune with reality than the West. And here's why I will say this. It's because the majority of Asians, they don't give a shit about decentralization. And I think the majority of Americans or Canadians or Europeans who will eventually be using blockchain technology won't care about decentralization. The majority of people don't care about freedom. As sad as that is, and as much as like I care about it, you know, they care about the ability to be able to go into a bank and ask people how to get their money because they forgot their freaking password.
As if like the vast majority of Americans are the same way.
Right.
That's what he's saying, right?
Like options. Like you have too many. Okay, you've got too many payment options in the West. You've got too many ways to send money. You've got a million of them in the U.S. Like I've got Zelle, Venmo, PayPal, Facebook, Apple Pay. Like I've got a million ways to send you $5 right now. In other countries, they don't have that. They don't have that freedom of association or protection. They don't give a rat's ass about decentralization because it's decentralized enough in the sense that their government can't take it from them. So everything else is just details. So I tell people this, Asia doesn't care what the price of Bitcoin is. They just want to get their money out of that system so it can't be taken from them. They don't give a shit what the price is. They're still buying.
Yeah, depending upon where you are, definitely if you're in China, right? I mean, that's
you're in China.
Japan is a little bit different. I mean, let's not go there because this is a blockchain show. But if we go to Japan, like there's some serious issues. I mean, Japan is, in my opinion, one of the smartest economies the world has ever seen, and they've been having negative interest rates for the last decade and haven't been able to solve the problem. So why the hell is the rest of the world adopting it? I mean, you guys are screwed.
They have a 50 and 100 year economic plan for Japan. That's why Japan is leading, because they understand that with math, they can plan that far out. And they don't let their egos get in the way. They're kind of like, what's best for everyone is what's best for us in Japan. And they keep their economy closed looped. So when you're in the Japanese economy, that's it. You're in the economy. There's no leaving it. Like,
yeah, come visit me in Japan sometime, please, and like I'll take you out and we'll go on the Jimmy D rant session about governments. But you are 100% right. Just to like, this is, you know, just to say that, like, yeah, that's the difference between Japan and Greece, right there. And the difference between Japan and Greece is all of Japan's debt is internalized, and all of Greece's debt is externalized. And when you internalize your own debt, you know, that's kind of smart hockey.
Well, you end up in the race to zero. And that's the problem with USD. That's the problem with the world economy right now. Everything's priced in USD, which is a horrible asset right now. It's just been printed through the ass the last 4 years, going to be printed more. And now you're seeing countries bankrupting themselves with printing money, because the more they can print before the fall of the dollar, it's like locking in the value. So it's this race to zero right now. And nobody's quite understanding that the reason Bitcoin's going up isn't necessarily because a bunch of people are buying it. Like, if you really think about it, our market cap has, like, in the grand scheme of all the money in the world, our market cap hasn't moved that much to justify the price of Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin is rising because everybody else is printing so much fiat currency. It's a measurement against how much inflation has actually hit the global market.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point there, right? Okay, so Bitcoin, it's worth $500,000. Well, that's fucking great, but your loaf of bread is worth $200 now.
Exactly.
You know, and that's a really.
You gotta start thinking in satoshis if you want to be rich in the future. That's what I tell people.
Speaking of which, now I gotta break in and I gotta show you. I have this. I started building this monument like way out in the boonies. Like when you see how big the map is, and like some of the people now are like holding it as a badge of honor. They want to release an NFT that said I walked all the way to my plot. Because if you walk just from the cathedral out to the community cluster, it takes like a couple hours. Like it's really far.
If you can even get there, because I can't even figure out how to freaking get there, man.
You'll figure it out.
You know where I am right now? Like, I'm standing on a track somewhere because, like, I had to go look after my daughter. So, like, I'm just standing there on the track. So some car's gonna come by and like knock me off. You know,
it's true. So, you know, you can basically use anything that you want to use as a reward. So we're gonna get some wrapped Bitcoin, and if you make it all the way out here, and this is twice as far as the community cluster, and there's gonna be a rail line going all the way out here. I'm gonna probably end up having to build it myself. This is a little temple to Bitcoin.
That is so cool.
So here's the thing: every day you can come visit this once a day, and you're gonna get 1 sat in wrapped Bitcoin, which is something that we can do with wrapped Bitcoin without breaking everyone's bank.
Yeah.
Yes. You can.
Corey, I think you need to bring up. I think you need to pull up one more image, and that's the. Well, I'm not really sure if I want you to pull up that image anymore because I can't quite remember where Cypherglass is on the map. And if it's not beside us, then I kind of want to, move it because Adrian's awesome.
you know the guy who's running the map, so this is definitely a possibility.
Awesome! I get like way special access. Did you hear that, everybody? Nah, I'm kidding.
It's been really difficult, right? Like, because Corey and I we're like 12 hours difference, and then like you're another like 6 hours, I think, from Corey. So like this is like almost like this is like the land before time forgot. Really, like when we get on this podcast together, it's like almost impossible,
So right now,
yeah, no, I kind of want to see the map and
all right, hold on. I have to send the updated version to the place because it's not. I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
Here, hold on. Just look at that. It's good. But yeah, so no, Cypherglass is just to the northwest of us. But I'll pull it up. Say a bunch of interesting stuff, and I'll send it over to the thing.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, do the thing.
I think, yeah, we have.
That is a really cool pyramid. I like.
Thank you.
built over the mountain. It's cool.
So it's built with the intent to make 21 pieces as the pyramid. So I'm gonna actually break it up so that it's decentralized. Because I'm a nerd. Yeah, it's like half done. But the whole thing is like I'm taking this land area, right? I'm gonna turn it into a monument, gamify it, and then sell the whole thing for a Bitcoin.
Yeah, I say
right?
Totally do it. It makes sense.
Someone's gonna buy it. It's gonna be a revenue generating piece of land because if you visit it, it's gonna kick out wax rewards to whoever owns the NFT anytime anybody hangs out here, and they're gonna be coming here just to get one sat worth of Bitcoin to say they did it.
Now, what you need to do is build a billboard to the right of it and then sell that as an advertising space.
See? Someone's thinking. And we can actually do it from the 2D map too. See? Yeah.
Like, you can host different contests and say okay, this week we're going to do Boyd and you get this if you come, or you can change it.
See, I love the fact that you're already getting the point.
One-way mirrors in Minecraft?
What?
Can you do one-way mirrors?
No.
Oh, man.
That'd be really cool if when you went inside the big Bitcoin pyramid, you could see advertisements, but if you're outside, you couldn't. That's some high.
Oh, that's cool.
I'll have to write that down. Weirdo.
Make that possible.
Right? Just to do the whiz bang and just make the thing.
Oh, man.
All right, hold on here. Pulling the map up. Again. Oh, it didn't save.
Always great to see while you do that. Always great to see the people in the comments, even though we're on an off time basis. Thank you for joining us, as Modi said. Thank you for correcting me always. Bonds, great to have you. We're gonna have you back on again sometime soon to talk about prospectors.
I'm seeing the chat now.
Yeah, Lisa Chandler is going to be on our show on Friday, actually, for NFT Game Day. Kind of excited about that. She's always here. Greg's going to give me the rundown in the uplift sometime very soon.
Greg's giving everybody tours, Adriana. So when you're ready, grab Minecraft Java, hit Greg up in our Telegram channel, and he'll give you a guided tour.
Yeah.
Of your lands. That's cool too. Your lands are still uncovered. I'm gonna pull the map up here.
I'm gonna go at least do the Cypherglass logo on there.
Yeah. That's a
if
necessity.
there is anyone on that can do the logo for us, we will pay you in EOS. Just shoot me a DM.
Boom. That's how to get shit done.
Check your DM. I'm sure you already have one. No, but actually, the Cypherglass logo is cool because the logo itself is actually 3D. So you could have that would be a really cool kind of building. So do you kind of, I'm assuming you understand how this works. Basically you'll get, I think it's 55 plots around the central square of your community that you'll be able to gift out to any of your members. And then they'll all, be able to.
Oh, I'm going to gift my community mods. That's what's going to happen. There's a couple of people that run there's 2 or 3 people that really contribute in our TG and on our Facebook page. So I'm going to have to gift some people a couple of pixels.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it's going to look
like this wasn't intentional, but that's an awesome spot for Cypherglass. I like the fact that you're just above Generios. That's great.
Oh, Generios. I love those guys. Shout out.
It was you guys too.
It was a little intentional.
Hint, hint, and nudge, nudge.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Yeah. It's okay. I like
I'm actually, I don't know if you know this, but I'm actually a small part of the Generios team.
Are you really? I met Tim back at the London Hackathon when this whole thing first got started and spent time with him there. And he was just really awesome. So I always kept up with the team. And then Data Junkie joined, and Data Junkie and I are actually very good friends just personally. So I feel a very strong kinship with that team.
Yeah, Data Junkie is one of my favorite people in the whole entire space, right? And Tim is awesome. Ralph is amazing. Yeah. The uplift itself, one of Jenner EOS's old advisors, or still advisors, is Nathan Rempel, and the Uplift itself. We're actually working with Nathan Rempel, and he's brilliant as well. Like, it's such a good community team, yeah, I'd like, like you said, every kind of blockchain has their thing. And for me, Jenner EOS represents the community of EOSIO that always should be and will be and could be. And they're like the community drivers in terms of like positive energy, bringing people in, connecting people. I mean, EOS Nation does a great job with community in terms of connecting the East and the West, but Jenner EOS does it a little bit different, and I really like that.
That team rolls with the punches really well and comes up with innovations to solve whatever the problem is. And I love that about them. And I'm reading here a comment. Beerbelly just asked what we think of the power up model. I really love the new EOS power up model. Actually, I think it's going to help make the resources more scarce and in turn make the EOS token more valuable. So I don't mind paying a small transaction fee to make sure that happens. I think it's going to solve the EODOS problem. So there'll be no more spam on the network. And yeah, that's what I think about it. I think it's awesome.
Actually, do you want to maybe go into it a little bit? Because it just went through in the last couple of days. So 2 questions that I've been seeing a lot that maybe need to be answered. Number 1, what happens if your EOS is staked? Do you get rewarded? Do you have to do something to get those rewards? Number 1. And number 2, do you still have any free transactions?
Okay, so if your EOS staked, that really is going to be a matter of the UI UX that everybody builds in. And I think we're all kind of looking to like Graymass and all of the wallets to really kind of provide what that feature is going to look like. At this point, it's suggested, right? Like, we're going to build this in first. It got passed. We're in the process of trying to figure out how to get it onto mainnet and upload it onto mainnet. And then from there, once the code is there, everyone who has a wallet like Anchor Wallet will have to figure out, how do we incorporate this new staking model into the UI UX? And so I don't know yet. The answer is, I think what will happen is you will stake and you will earn right back on your EOS, but then you'll have to fill up you'll have to power up your EOS account. Basically, you'll put the EOS in, it'll power up, you'll get those transactions, and then you're good to roll.
Yeah. So what I'm actually most interested in seeing is how the various projects and dApps react to this. I don't think it'll make a difference for someone like Wombat that covers the resources anyway, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with some of these wallets or block explorers like drew a complete blank. Blocks.io, for example. I mean, they cover 5 transactions a day. It'll be. I'm kind of curious to see whether they like continue to do these things or not. I'm not really sure whether they will. And
I actually think that because the new resource model will make the CPU transactions so much more reliable, so much lower, and it'll stabilize the CPU, what you're going to see happen is it will almost balance out. So anybody who has an app or a dApp that has free transactions right now and they think they're going to be having to switch that over, they'll have to make some changes in their code. But I think at the end of the day, this is going to make it more affordable for their users. I don't think anyone's going to see a real big change, basically. I think the people that are going to see the change are the people that have to change that code and figure out how to make those resources work for their app. But Block One and the PBE team did a huge program to take feedback from the community and see how they wanted to lay this out. So this is very much like decentralized governance at work at its best, trying to figure out how we're going to do these things, taking into consideration all of these people who have built on the network. And there was an overwhelming amount of support, even from the developers that are going to see that change to move to this new resource model, because right now, the way the network sits, it's just not, it's completely not feasible to build on. And this, while, yeah, it's going to take that whole feeless concept away, it is going to still be extraordinarily affordable transactions, like just not even close to the same. It's dust in comparison to anything you're used to on any other network.
Maybe the part of the problem was people thought that they were going to get paid because of feeless transactions, and that's part of the problem. Everyone wants to be rich off of somebody else's back. I mean, own your own investments, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, let's think about this. I think it's fair, right? Like the new resource model is also rewarding you. So, you know, let's say somebody should do staking. You know what I mean? Like you've got Gen Pool. Gen EOS built Gen Pool that you can go in and stake and earn on. So if you are holding EOS and you believe in the project, which is the only reason you should invest in it, by the way, then you should be holding your EOS and filling that slot up for your power up model, but then earning back on your EOS as well, because there's ways to do that. So if you're earning back on your EOS and you're holding it there, you should be using that EOS to pay for your transaction fees, and you should never feel it.
I wasn't actually disagreeing with you there. I was actually, pointing out something that I think you pointed out better than me, and that's why you do brilliant things that you do. And that's the fact that, like, in EOS, essentially, the people who have EOS, who are backing the network with their EOS, they're the ones getting paid, not the block producers, not the. Sorry, I messed that up. Not the miners. The miners aren't getting paid, right? Like it's the hodlers, the holders of the network who are getting paid. And if you are a DAPP, you might have to actually purchase a little bit more EOS, but you're not necessarily just giving all of your EOS away to somebody who has enough money to be able to buy the tech to be able to mine more blocks than someone else, right?
Yep. And mind you, if you're a developer that's looking at EOS to build on, but you're worried that you don't have the EOS that it takes to stake to the network for the CPU, you should be contacting block producers and asking them to stake you, because we will.
Interesting. I didn't realize that block producers did that.
I mean, some of us do. We have always said that we don't have a shit ton of EOS or anything, but we have enough to stake a project that we would really believe in. And that's how we choose to contribute back to the development community. Is if you have a project and you want to test something, or you need an API, or you need access to the test net, or you need access to something that you don't have, or you don't know how to get, please contact one of the block producers. We're more than happy to point you in the right direction.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I know UX has been struggling with that as well, and they've been doing that. They've been comping a lot of the block producers on the UX network, which hasn't quite launched yet. But I mean, it's launched, but nobody's really using it.
I hear you could just go to Bitcoin miners and ask them to stake really cool projects. That's what I heard. I heard that on the internet.
I also heard that their core devs make so much money. They're just
they do really well. They're
so much of their time. By the way, that's sarcasm, guys.
Yeah.
Just
in case that wasn't abundantly clear.
I didn't even know about it until today, to be honest.
I get into Twitter debates constantly with developers on Bitcoin because of this, and I'm like, look, I just want to live in a world where you're paid for the work that you do fairly, and miners aren't getting your work, like they aren't eating your lunch. I just want to live in a world where the core Bitcoin developers make money and take home a paycheck instead of miners. And everybody thinks that's crazy. Everyone's like, that's not decentralized. Well, I mean, if you want to do work for free.
Well, the second you realize that 50 to 65% of all Bitcoin mined is happening with 3 companies that all live in China, it's not decentralized. EOS is far more decentralized than Bitcoin. Let me say that again, and I know this is going to freak you out. You're going to get all your panties in a knot. EOS, the centralized demon, is far more decentralized than Bitcoin.
They're not.
Sorry.
No, nobody's going to get their panties in a knot because nobody's listening. Those people aren't listening. Those people that you want to talk to are not.
They don't
listening.
I think Bitcoin maximalists would only hate watch our show, and they never do it.
I'd be totally down for some hate watching. That would get us some good coverage for a while. After a while, it might get really
it'd get old fast.
Today, I have a clubhouse at 4 p.m. EST, and it's with CryptoPig. It's scheduled in there, and it's on my Twitter. But yeah, we have a Clubhouse scheduled, and there's a couple of Bitcoin people that are going to be in there. And this is one of the things we want to discuss. And mind you, everyone's coming to the table to discuss these things with open minds. Nobody's being an asshole, but like somebody has to start doing this and pointing out the major flaws of these systems, or they're never going to get fixed. And like one of the issues I take with Bitcoin is that the core developers are not paid adequately for their time, for what they're doing. And if they were, if we could figure out how to do that, it would bring another critical element to that ecosystem that's really missing, which is this whole idea of a WPS fund. How do we pay people? How do we prove that they're doing the work? And that's what EOS is experimenting and trying new governance styles with. So before you go and knock EOS for being so not decentralized, I really think you have to take a look at like the pie chart of how many miners and are mining on Bitcoin and where that hash power is going. And look at Ethereum too, because it's just as bad.
Well, and the narrative is ridiculously biased as well, right? Because the narrative basically says, oh, well, look, you got like 30 block producers that are running the network. But there's a potential possibility of all of those other block producers that are in the mix, right? I totally screwed that up. It's way too late for me. How many block producers are actually active and how many are on standby? I always forget that. It's
gazillions.
Active is 21 and standby right now is somewhere around 50 or 60. And
yeah, so I averaged it out 30. That was good.
Yeah.
That was good average.
And it's a checks and balance system. The election's every 120 seconds. We have to compete for those votes. And right now, I won't lie, like I'm not going to sit here and make it seem like our distribution is so awesome. But the thing about EOS is that it's so liquid. Somebody could just come in and buy a bunch of EOS. It's low enough, if they wanted to stake themselves. Like there's still so much opportunity on this network for people to come in and show what they can do for the network. It's so early. It's so early for EOS. Like anyone thinking that it's too late for EOS really needs to, one, look at Block One's BTC bankroll, and two, like just observe the amount of work we've done in 3 years. Like if compared to other networks, we've passed more governance in a decentralized fashion than any other network out there.
I'm just gonna say it. Colin talks crypto. I like him kind of, but he kind of pissed me off.
He shit the bed is what he did. He's the trader. Like Wall Street cheat sheet. Just Google it, put it up on your wall. He fell into the depression and got caught by a rule that any long-term trader or even any trader that decided to read a book would not have gotten caught in. Max pain is when you're buying. Max pain is when you are buying. And he was just like, no, I can't handle the pain anymore.
I'm not going to go that far.
Hold on, though. Like he traded for Ethereum and won on Ethereum. That's great. Yeah. Right. But at the same time, like, pummeling all that back into EOS is probably not going to be a bad idea.
Talk for a second here. Like, you know what? Yeah. This is crazy to me that nobody has ever asked this question in regards to Colin specifically. But where in the hell did he get all that EOS? Like, okay, friends, family, this, that, and the other. But can we ask a question for a second? That is a significant portion of the network that he was owning, controlling, voting, and nobody stopped to bother to ask, where is that EOS coming? What are the morals and principles that stand behind it? What are you guys trying to get out of it? Because as far as I could ever tell, it was a profit move only. And I'm not here for that shit. So I haven't watched or listened to Colin probably ever.
I haven't either, but I didn't have that much of a good excuse. I just we usually ask and we've taken like an hour and a half of your time now. We want to have block producers.
Take an hour and a half more if you're.
I mean,
I'm just saying.
I got another 15 minutes. I got to cut it right at an hour and a half. But yeah.
I want to put the invite open. Please come back. We want to do. We want to have guests back like monthly or bi-monthly or whatever works for your schedule. Because we want
in this case,
to make you guys
my schedule.
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, no, like here's the thing: like you can sleep, and I'll have a conversation with Adriana next time because I couldn't this time.
We'll try to make a better time work next time. Like this.
we can do evening too. That might actually work for all of us.
Yeah.
They're
but before you go, Corey, finish what you
No, that's it. I just was like, please come back because you're awesome. That was
really
that was
But before you go, I wanted to contrast Colin because I don't mind Colin, right? Like, and I interviewed him before, and I think he's okay. And you know, motives aside, one of the crypto personalities that you're actually involved with. That I quite like her subtle style on how much she appreciates EOS, but she doesn't hype it. She doesn't pump it. Is you know who I'm talking about? A girl.
My girl.
Yeah. And so like, yeah, it'd be great. Like I mean, even if you wanted to bring her on the show sometime, you two could come together because I'd love to like know that backstory, and that'd be really cool. And I know. I know a few people who have who she's interviewed, and I know she has a kind of a crazy interview schedule. The way that she does things is a little bit off base from how normal people do. But like, if you ever have the opportunity, Adriana, please come on with her together because I think that kind of backstory connection would be really cool for us to show.
I tell you what, Leah and I have become. We were acquaintances, colleagues. We've become friends over the last year working together. You know, I saw her content and immediately reached out and said, look, we've got to do some content together. And so I took my skill set, which is writing content, and her skill set, which is recording and producing amazing content. We put it together and hit some home runs. And now, you know, we paid her in EOS. We got her interested in holding it. You know, this is where we like to contribute value, is bringing these very, you know, good content creators and positive influences in the community into our community and helping them understand the benefits of it goes such a long way, other than just like throwing some money at her and asking her to shill stuff. She actually understands EOS now, and I'm so proud of her. She's like a student of mine, and she does it so well. Leah actually lives not very far from me, and we're going to be getting together in person here in the next few weeks. So maybe we can arrange where her and I actually get to sit side by side and come on the show.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Because like, it's funny, like the things that she if you're not following her, follow Girl Gone Crypto on Twitter, because she does a weekly update, which is great. It's full scale crypto, and she does this, I'm gonna say 10-second spots, a series of like 2 minute 10-second spots where she just like, you know, appears on the screen and says like the headline, but it's really cool. And you know, she made a comment a couple of weeks ago, and a comment again this week, just about like the ideology that, you know, EOS really is the sleeping giant. And it's super exciting to see someone who is so in depth and involved in the whole cryptosphere, right? A little bit bullish on EOS, right?
Yeah, she just gets it too. Like, that's why, you know, and I tell everyone this, like, be careful. I caution people, like, observe your content stream. If you're in crypto, pay attention to your content stream, your personal content stream. Ask yourself where you're getting the information you're getting from it and what motives that person has to be telling you that information. Because while I appreciate all content creators in this industry, some of them are maybe less educated than others, or maybe don't know, and maybe they believe what they're saying. But it's your responsibility to be devil's advocate to whatever they're telling you, and to find responsible content creators and listen to them. And Leah, really, she's gold standard all around. So make sure that you're observing that content stream and thinking about where you're getting your information, because there's so much misinformation floating around.
This is where it's really, really good that we have so many awesome guests, because otherwise we would basically have to tell you to stop watching this show right fucking now. But we get to talk to people like Adriana. So, and you know, we got a bunch of awesome guests coming up. But yeah, like, definitely don't listen to me or Jimmy, but definitely listen to people like Adriana, for sure. Awesome. I mean, that's true. We're good.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I love your content. I crack up every time I watch it. You know, I talk to the other BPs that come on here, and they always have a blast. So you guys are doing well, and consistency pays. You know, it's just about being consistent and putting yourself out there.
Boom. All right. Adriana, thank you so much for coming on. well, like I definitely want to make sure we get you back as soon as scheduling permits. And yeah, maybe we can I can do evening, Jimmy. So if that works for you, Adriana, sort of maybe later, early afternoon or whatever, we can not have Jimmy up at 3:00 in the morning. You poor bastard. And yeah, let's get you connected with Greg. I'll come with you as well. Like we'll get, we'll even do some whiz bang and get the Cypherglass logo up. Or find some, there's some builders in there that if they could earn some EOS, it would be the first EOS they actually had. And I'll see if I can set that up. Again, they're very, very good. So that'll be fun too.
And just on a future note, I will say this, like, I've kind of got a couple months holidays mostly right now, but we could have you on Wednesday for Media Moguls Day, because I think in your own right you are a media mogul.
Agreed.
Legit. And I don't have to work until 12:00 the next day, so timing really isn't an issue.
Hey, I'm in. Just let me know the details. I'm always around. I love doing these interactions. I feel like if I can help teach someone something with everything I've experienced, it's worth it.
And okay, you're really good at it too. Yeah, so let's do it, and we'll get something built inland. We can like show it off when you come on there.
Yeah.
So Corey, get ready because I'm gonna do.
I'm ready. I'm
gonna do something a little bit new here. Adriana, you lived in Asia.
Yeah.
Have you ever learned how to do a karate chop?
I mean, no, I never learned.
like if you were in Asia, if you were watching some kind of movie, like, could you show us a karate chop? How would it work out?
I don't
like
know.
A fast, hard karate chop. Like someone's attacking you, you want to hit them hard.
Oh yeah, you go judo chop like that.